Good morning, good day, friends. This is Tracy Brown, your somatic nutrition therapist and attuned eating expert. And here's a fair warning. I'm highly at risk here of rambling because I've been studying this work, this polyvagal trauma integrated work for about 10 years now. And it's almost like I've forgotten more than I know, but I have so much fun stuff to share with you today. So good morning to everybody who's watching live. And let's dive in and get started. So today I'm going to talk about the sympathetic response in our nervous system and how that's impacting your food and your recovery efforts. All right. And please make sure below that if you felt this video was really helpful, I would love to get your feedback about it. And so we can make future videos even more nuanced. All right. So again, good morning, everybody who's watching live. And for replay folks, thank you for coming. Please let me know you watched the replay and whatever questions you have. All right. I've gotten tons of really great responses of what do you think happens when you're in your fight or flight part of your nervous system? What do you think is happening in the more dorsal shutdown part where it's more people pleasing and kind of freezy and shut down? Got all kinds of good responses, and they're all true because everybody has their own, there's a defensive strategy for eating in these different parts of our nervous system, and everybody's different, but there are a lot of similarities. And so today, we're going to talk about the sympathetic response and how that impacts your eating, what I see with people who have chronic dieting and eating disorders, what the symptoms sometimes are, and probably give you a little tool to start working on it. I probably have 100 tools that you could try. We'll do a couple today and get your feedback about how it worked. So let's just do some, threat physiology 101. So if we are a little animal on the Sahara and, we're just kind of calmly, but maybe calm and alertly eating, that would be us in like our window of tolerance. And, we're not zoned out at all, but we're not like hyper vigilant either. But let's say you're that little gazelle in the Sahara, and for whatever reason, your nervous system senses something. You hear something, a twig breaks, the wind blows, and maybe you smell something. Your senses are working, and you think that you feel like you sense that something's there. And that's your nervous system at work. And when your system starts to go into a sympathetic response, which is threat, our body either wants to run or it's going to fight. So you're that little gazelle, your skill set is usually running, right? And so you might get more body tense, right? And maybe you stop chewing. Maybe you swallow, but maybe that just sits there in your gut. And you're looking around and your eyes get big and your ears hone in and your breathing gets a little bit shallow or a little racier and you're getting some mobilization. What's happening is your body is not digesting that little bolus of grass anymore. If you're that little gazelle, now what's happening is your body's getting braced. Your liver is going to start giving some glucose to your muscle cells and you're getting ready to run. Okay? That's what happens to us mammals too, us humans. So when we're in sympathetic, we're going to have all those symptoms: body braced, jaw tight, head tight, eyes big, hearing more, digestive enzymes slowed down and not producing as much. And instead, your liver is working with that cascade of adrenaline and cortisol, especially adrenaline at first. It's getting shot out to get some glucose mobilized for you to run or to fight. So as us mammals, that's what's going to happen to us too. If we are in chronic stress, like a little squirt of that cortisol adrenaline effect helps us get through maybe avoiding an accident on the highway, and then we come back down. But what happens in chronic sympathetic, chronic stress, fight or flight, is that your body is staying mobilized way too long. And it starts to break down your body. So you can start to break down your muscle tissue, again, muscle wasting, headaches, chronic constipation, or vacillating constipation with diarrhea. You don't digest your food as well, more acid reflux. From a perspective around chronic dieting, this is a place where people are very, when I go like this is like spinning in your mind of calorie counting and being obsessive about food rules, sugar, fats, whatever, orthorexia, sometimes food pushing away certain food groups or types or textures because of a sensory issue of like everything feels too much, like you get sensory defensive. And so ketchup can feel like, whoa, I taste all the flavors of it and it's grossing me out kind of stuff, when maybe when you're less stressed, ketchup tastes fine. So what we see here in the sympathetic is that we're really in our heads trying to find a way of escape to be out of our bodies, and that usually comes in the form of dieting and restricting. It's also going to come in lowered, like, hunger, fullness, acuity, meaning I can't really tell if I'm hungry and full. All I feel is like wired, but I don't feel that hungry, even though, you know, like rationally, mentally, you should be. And then the other piece of this is that sometimes when the not eating's not working, we're eating to settle ourselves. So sometimes we're in our fight or flight response, we're also binging or grazing as a way to settle the tension, settle the frustration, kind of sensorily. I'm using my mouth a lot here because a lot of sympathetic is like up here in our muscles and up in our face and our chest and those kind of things. And we're eating to settle that fear, to settle that frustration. Some of it we might not label it as like I'm scared or I'm mad. We'll say, oh, I'm stressed. And we might feel butterflies in our stomach or tension in our chest or a lump in our throat. Those are all sensations of sympathetic response to feeling there's a threat. Now, the issue is that if you've got long-term developmental trauma or, of course, diet trauma, those experiences start to feel so normal that when you don't do it, you feel stressed. Because now, if you've had a long-term pattern of restricting or binging or purging is also a fight response. So if we're having this long-term neural pathway, like I feel these sensations and I do these behaviors, part of the work that a lot of people don't understand or know about is that you're not going to get healing just from reading the books and doing, mental work. It's going to have to be really learning to be with the sensations of your nervous system in safe company. We need co-regulation, and we need to use our bodies instead of over-analyzing and over-cognitive behavioral therapying ourselves or getting that, is that we're going to need to work where our bodies are, what parts of us are in these different threat responses, and basically befriend that stuff and learn how to do it with safe others. Okay, so this is why I offer meal sessions. This is why half the time my sessions, we're not talking about like, oh, when did that happen to you? It's like, what are you noticing inside? And can you notice I'm here with you? There's a lot of that going on. And you wouldn't think that would change people's foods, but it does, because we get a sense to notice, you get a chance to notice, hey, wow, I'm with this difficult sensation and like the worst isn't happening. And so I'm not saying that fixes everything every single time, but it changes a lot. So I would love to encourage you all who are watching this video live, replay, you shared it with your friends, is to start to think like, here's a little catchphrase for you. And we're going to talk in future videos about, sensory processing and how to be able to use your near and far senses to help you settle your nervous system, to actually feel like you're not in threat and you're not about to be eaten by a tiger, or that you need to hibernate to avoid the tiger, is that you want to ask yourself this question: what is this and can I be with it? Because your wise mind, you're getting on with life, part of yourself who's read the things and even done some nutrition therapy or regular therapy is like, okay, I know what I need to do, but my body's not quite there yet. Or my mind knows I'm safe when my body doesn't feel that way. And so we got to work with the body, and that's probably the old somatic memory, and it's got a lot of fight, flight, freeze, or please charge in there. And just being able to let that arise and let it go using our body is really, really, really powerful. One last thing, I do have a shame reduction tool on my YouTube channel that is also a tool you could use for this as well to see if that can settle your system. So go head over there if you'd like to as well. And on Friday, we're going to talk about the opposite. So we're going to talk about when we get in dorsal, when we're in kind of shut down and feel kind of foggy or please. And it's almost like, what is our food saying about the states we're in. We almost think like, here's the food problem, let's fix the top level thing. It's really about like, oh, what's happening in the system, and therefore that's what the food looks like. It's opposite. And so now I'm not saying that our normal tools we should be eating regularly. That's really helpful to our body systems to feel less anxious and scared. Of course, like consuming healthy media is super important. In fact, being really selective and only having a few people not to overwhelm yourself and your system is probably most important, to be honest, so we can be more in our tangible lives as well, so we can be more in nature, more with safe people. As Megan's saying here, bringing safety and connection was the missing piece of the puzzle. And I really appreciate that, Megan, for saying that. Thank you, making the food changes. And and Megan here, if you read the comments, it's talking about Rain Stick. It's a tool I learned a long time ago from a somatic therapist as well. And it just really helps you bring some awareness to like, okay, what's running, what's shutting down, and basically how old is that? So you can get a sense of like, okay, the part of me that knows better about like maybe not restricting, or I don't really want to eat that food. I know that's true. That's how I actually what I actually want and how I feel. But there's also a part of me that like thinks that going on a diet today is a really good idea, and I'm really there's like this at odds, and so we want to work with those different parts as well. So thank you all so much for watching. Enjoy tomorrow's little prompt. And then I'll see you again on Friday, and we will talk about the dorsal system, what's happening in our ingestion and digestion, and one little tip for something you can do about it. So I'll talk to you all real soon. Bye for now.